Hello there and welcome to the first and really poorly lit episode of Fistfantastic Plastic. My name is Johnbonne and I'm just going to talk about Toys to Life for however long I possibly can on this playlist, and that's my pitch really. So I'm going to start the episode by talking about the importance of posture when it comes to a figure. It's talking more about the toys rather than the gameplay styles themselves. So I'll be talking about figures that I sort of think look cool but might be underwhelming in gameplay, or look bad as figures but are actually really good in game, but you wouldn't know that until you bought the figure. Now, I'm going to start by telling you what my favourite figure in the entire series is. And I should say in the entire genre of Toys to Life, and I would actually reduce that down to Skylanders at this point. But yes, my favourite figure in any of the Toys to Life games ever made has to be this one from Trap Team. Yes, I know, Trap Team is not my favourite entry to the series, but I'll explain that when I do my review of it. It is actually Torch from Trap Team. I'll put some videos and edited images up now so you can see it better. But Torch is my absolute favourite figure in the entire Toys to Life genre. Now, the reason is because, well, first of all, the colour scheme isn't my favourite. You know, the brown, orange and red doesn't really work. There's a lot of peach going on as well. Not a colour I'm overly fond of, but the mould quality is spectacular. There's a lot of detail on the gloves, the buckles everywhere. The trousers are creased, the hair is exceptionally well done, as is the flame here. The fan weapon, absolutely nothing wrong there. Lots of studs, scratches and pop marks on the apron. Very, very well detailed, very nice looking, as well as the sort of facial mould as well. You can sort of feel the spaces where they've really sort of moulded very specifically, and they haven't just just painted over a very sort of flat surface. Now, what I like more than just the colours and the mould of this and the little details is, of course, the pose itself. So, as you can see here, the Torch is actually pointing somewhere, and not only that, but her eyes are also following where she's looking. So she's not trying to make eye contact with us per se, but something off in the distance. And her eyes are fixed to that, as well as her weapon is kept away from her face, you know, so to not, well, set her hair on fire, that is already on fire, or maybe it is fire, I don't know. But it's not just that either. It's not just that she's pointing and looking somewhere else. It's that you can also see in the figure as well how she's got her knees bent, her back arched. The body language is perfect for what she's doing, and it sort of leaves a lot to your imagination, where you can sort of imagine that this is a character on a battlefield. They're seeing a threat overhead and they're getting ready to attack it. If I had to make Johnbonne's elite, Torch would be my leader, even though she has no characteristics like that in the actual game. That she's just a soldier, and you know, but I mean, she shows that confidence and that animation that very few of the characters in the series do. So I have to give props to the developers for making such a great figure there. Now I'll show you another figure as well that I object to though, and what I think is one of my least favourites. This is Batspin. Now, Batspin is actually a really cool character in game. I have no objections to it there whatsoever. But there's a few problems here. First of all, the paint is all over the place. So we've got here this sort of cherry red and very glossy sort of hood and dress here that's meant to be like, I guess, one piece of a dress. And then we've got this very matte black and cyan here, this very baby blue colour. Mostly featureless, there's not any sort of detail. The mould is also really really poor, I should say. Popular, what was that about? Poor. Again, no details on the arms compared to Torch's arms, which had muscle in them and movement. We're also seeing, like, as well, the face is not very well moulded, and it looks as though her facial details have been transferred on with stickers rather than actually painted on, and it chips off very badly as well. It actually looks like it's been smothered in grease as well. It's kind of got darker with grease and almost see-through, which is not pleasant. We've also got here as well her Poundland staff with 4 bats upon it. That I mean, okay, I don't expect them to be threatening or anything, but I mean, they are comical, but it doesn't, again, it doesn't sell the model. It just doesn't look all that appealing. Not to mention we've got 4 wings here, 2 on her head and 2 on her back. And it's like it's trying to be busy for the sake of being busy, and if you like busyness, fine, but I think there's better ways of doing that. So, for example, Batspin can not only launch bats, so maybe have a staff pointing forward and a bat is just like exiting it, or maybe she's got one swooping around her hand or something like that. You can also suck them in as well with this gigantic tornado. So I'd do something with that as well. So maybe have the bats flying around a dress, because that's what it's supposed to be. Because it's supposed to be like red and it goes black at the bottom and turns to smoke and mist. But they've kind of done that at her waist, not right at her feet where it's supposed to be. So I think they've actually got the model wrong, as well as just making it really unappealing. But yeah, absolutely make the bats a bit more animate. Not to mention as well, she's not really pointing at anything. She looks like she's got this cold, glassy stare. Her eyes aren't focusing on anything in particular. Her hand isn't doing anything. It doesn't look like she's casting a spell or really sort of aiming at an enemy to send her bats at, which I think is a bit disappointing. Now, also when you consider as well the mold quality, like these two figures are like it's a day and night difference. Like this should cost $7.99. But Batspin here, this does not look like it's worth $7.99. And when you also consider as well the sort of pose, which one is more visually striking? Well, to me, it's Torch any day. There seems to be a lot more effort in this figure than this one. And if they put more effort into Torch, then how good is Batspin going to be in game? So it is a bit of a worry. And again, for $7.99, you want a damn good figure. This extends to the Trapmasters as well in Trap Team. I will be using a couple of examples from Imaginators and Superchargers as well, but I just wanted to use those primarily. So let's have a look here. So we've got, I want to use Thunderbolt first. So Thunderbolt here is a Trapmaster of the air element, the other one is Gusto. And at first it looks like he's sort of getting his weapon ready to charge at a foe, but actually, I'm sort of looking at it again, and I'm sort of thinking, he doesn't actually look like he's ready to strike. He looks huddled up, like he's got that closed body language. He can't build up the momentum to swing his weapon. It's almost like a foe is already attacking him or it's swooping down on him, and it's too late for him to attack. His eyes seem to be pointing upwards, which I guess makes it look like there's maybe a giant enemy. But again, it doesn't really look like he's in the middle of combat at the moment. It looks like he's just right at the beginning. He's hearing this foe's monologue or something like that. I guess also as well, you've got these spiky parts here, which I guess are meant to be part of his helmet or maybe his eyebrows. They don't make him look threatening at all, which a lot of these sort of spiky protrudences here, they did this a lot with their Trap Team. And it doesn't work. It doesn't make them look any more threatening. It's just like a waste of plastic. The figure, I don't think, would actually lose anything. But yeah, again, it's that closed body language, and I don't think it helps. And that's a stark contrast to someone like Wallop here. So you got Wallop, he's actually moving forward, as you can sort of see by the legs there. He's got open body language, and he's building up momentum with this weapon. So that means he's going to bring that down. This one, I think maybe he's just about to lift it up to ready to charge that attack up. And he's bringing this one down, and that's good. And again, just these little things here as well. Why do we need these? Why? What's this got to do with the earth element? There's no practicality whatsoever. They haven't even put the emblem on there for the earth element or anything. Why? Why do that? You know. Also, as well, the weapons look really heavy as well. They're nice and meaty, so you can understand where your £15 is going to. And it's going to like these heavy weapons, and they look heavy and they look dangerous, and that's I think what a character for this price should do at 15 quid. Let's have a look at some other characters. We've also got here, we've got Nightmare. Nightmare is one of my favourite character designs in the entirety of Skylanders because, well, she's animated, she's rearing up, she's got a weapon ready, she's looking at a foe, and also notice how she's got no pupils in her eyes as well, but she can still have that solid stare. You know she's looking at a particular thing rather than just looking at like glassy eye at the distance or whatever. And she's also got a war horn there as well, just a secondary attack, but again, it's doing something with her other hand as well, so I think that's quite good. And yeah, I just like the figure. I think this is a really good one. It makes the character look animated, looks like they're... it puts the life in the toys to life, in my opinion. I want to show a couple of more examples as well. We've got here Snapshot, who doesn't appear to be sort of looking at anything in particular. Also, the Traptaniums broke there. I might do an episode talking about how terrible this plastic is for these things, because it just came clean off in the box when I got him. This is Dark Snapshot, and he's not looking at anything in particular. His left eye looks worse than his right eye, in my opinion, because it's bulging. Could be infected, I have no idea. More spiky protrusions there. and he's not aiming at anything. And yet, in Imaginators, we've got a character called Buckshot who has his weapon drawn and looks almost like he's backpedaling, or maybe getting a better aim, but he looks like he's focused on a particular target. And I think that's what I want from a character like that, not like this one who's maybe just drawing his weapon for the sake of it, you know, or it looks like a really bad idle animation, in my opinion. I'll show you one more Trapmaster, and I'll get on to the Imaginator. So here we've got Crypt King. Now, I personally think he's in a bit of a mixed spot. On the one hand, I like him because he's an Archaean. He's coldly efficient, he's not going to be moving, he's not going to attack unless he absolutely needs to. So he looks like a sentinel, he looks like he's a warden here, and he's quite still, he's showing off his chest with pride, and he's got his weapon here to stave off attackers should they attempt to get near him. However, his left hand isn't doing anything. Now, I like the pose. I really like this pose, because if I could modify these figures, if I had the tools and the patience to do it, I would honestly take out his sword from this hand and put it in that one, and then I'd have him, I don't know, holding his enemy's head in his right hand like that. Now, obviously that's not suitable for a 7+ for a game, but it's something that I really like the idea of, and I would love to do that one day. It makes him look like he's a stalwart defender, but, you know, he's not Chop Chop, you know, he doesn't have a shield in this hand. And also, as well, this is an action-oriented game. You want to see these characters, you know, in action, animated. And I would like to see that from an alternate pose of Chop Chop. And not that he's really all that mobile in the games anyway. He sort of walks very, very stiffly, and his sword is just very straight as well. So don't expect much excitement from Nitro Crypt King here. But yeah, I like this figure. I do. I like it, and I think maybe that sort of works for him because he's an Archaean. He's like an undead robot creature. So I think that works as the exception rather than the rule. So I want to show you some Imaginators now and give you an idea of how I feel about alternate poses, about action poses. So as you can see here, this is his Misty Cat. If you can't see him, I'll edit this out and, well, not edit it out, but I'll put some images up in editing and you'll be able to see him better. So here you can sort of see him looking at a particular thing. He's got his hand out almost like to cast a spell, and he's got his hat, and he's also got his staff. Just leaning slightly so he can cast a spell, maybe charge it up and then blast it from his palm, or maybe he's trying to aim properly with his staff. But again, it looks animated. It actually looks like he's trying to do something. Another one here. This is Snake Pit. He's waving his fingers around again like he's casting a spell, and he's waving his staff at a particular foe. So it looks like he's actually holding it out to do some damage with his staff. Now these are characters I haven't played yet. They're still in the box, I haven't played them yet, but I'd like to see how they operate. And even then I think it's good because, well, I bought these figures because of the pose. Well, I actually bought Pit Boss because he's a snake. I love reptilian characters in Skylanders, I really do. But the pose really helped as well. If he just stood there holding his staff, going, I wouldn't have bought it, would you? Like, not for 15 quid I wouldn't, but, you know, in a box this majestic and a character doing such a mighty pose, and the moulds as well are really good. I think they deserve the price on that alone. Yeah, I would definitely pick this up far sooner than any other Skylander. In fact, this was one of the first Imaginators I bought, if not the first. I'm going to show you one more that I've got now, but there are other examples out there. This is Master Tidepool, so by the looks of things, she looks as though she's actually strafing rather than running away from an enemy. She's firing behind her, and again, her eyes have no pupils. In fact, the paint on those isn't the best, but yeah, but you can still see that she's aiming at a particular thing. She's shooting behind her. Interesting pose, generally, that it's not a sort of front-facing character or one that really sort of looks like they're actually moving sort of towards a person, but rather away. So again, it's quite interesting. I like that. So I'm going to have a look at some others. If I've got any, actually I don't think I do. There is one last thing I would like to say though, that not every character has to be in this sort of action pose. I think there's some that do these really well, like Superchargers. They all look like they're sort of posing in some way, like Thrillipede has like 4 arms and he used 2 of them to throw grenades. That's really cool. Splat doesn't look like she's actually attacking a single person because of the eyes, but the sort of the paint effect on her scepter as she's sort of swinging it looks really cool. Trigger Happy, sorry, I should say Double Dare. Trigger Happy is pointing at something away from where his gun is facing, but his eyes are following it, so it works really well. There are some characters that I think do the eyes really well, like Food Fight here, again from Trap Team. So Food Fight's a bit of a mischievous character. He's sort of thinking about himself, plotting about all the wonderful things he's going to do with his tomatoes, and his, well, later will become a zucchini launcher. So I think when you've got menacing and maniacal characters, you can do things like that. Dr. Neocortex is a great example of this as well. He's having a bit of a moment to himself, and all the detail is on the face, or specifically the head. So his arms, his legs are really short, but his head is rather large, and it sort of holds all those details when it comes to like his sort of megalomaniacal moment. I can't speak today. So I think that really works. That it suits his character. You've got characters like Boomer or Zook that are just absolutely mental and are just looking usually up at something because they want to see something go up and come down. Such as, like, I don't know, a building, you know, so they want to throw bombs indiscriminately, they want to use the bazooka to destroy everything. You'll see that with characters like Chompy Mage as well. I don't think their eyes are focused on a particular thing, but you can see that they want to do big damage to anything in front of them. So I think that works for the figures. Now, of course, some people don't want just always action figures, you know. Some people might like the Crypt Kings, some people might want their bat spins, and that's totally fine. So I've come up with a bit of a compromise. I think if you're going to have the more expensive figures, you need to do more to sell those, because, well, you know, it's 15 quid. Why do I need this figure? Is it just because of the gimmick, or is it because it actually looks good? The way I would do it is maybe have your gimmick landers, you know, your £15 ones, you know, so doing their action poses, and then you've got your core Skylanders who are having those sort of photo shoot moments, you know, or just showing off, maybe even making eye contact with the player. So that's one thing, because they're a lot easier to sell on the price alone. But when you've got your Imaginators, your Superchargers, when you've got your Trap Masters, your Swappers, you want them to look really, really cool, and because they're more expensive. And you know, they're the ones that are really sort of selling the features of the game. So that's it, really. That's all I've got to say on that. Let me know your thoughts on on your favourite figures, especially when it comes to pose and things like that. I do have other videos planned on Fistfantastic Plastic. I would like to talk more about Skylanders, as well as Disney Infinity, LEGO Dimensions. I would also like to go into more obscure Toys to Life things, such as UB Funkies and Swipeout. Those are two brands that I do believe I mentioned in my Spyro's Adventure review. And I will also be reviewing individual figures if I can get enough content for them. However, that will take a bit more time. I've got to write scripts for those, I've got to edit videos, and then I've got to make sure I've done all the research and proofread and things like that. And yeah, we'll see how we go. But in the meantime, I'll try and do more vlogs like these. I may even do some sort of just showing off my collection every now and then, and yeah, just getting some feedback. So thank you ever so much for your patience in this video. Thank you ever so much for watching, and yeah, take care now. Ta-ta for now.